violence and cause division. And children are, when you get into the satanic aspect of this, and if you get into some of the research on that end, that the children, targeting the children is specific, and it's absolutely horrific. I mean, why do you think that they have infiltrated the church so much with so much pedophilia with these priests? You know, the New World Order is absolutely is intent on destroying religion and turning people away from religion. So by focusing all this attention on the priests and putting these priests in there and putting attention on the priests and having the condoning this behavior, it's really serving their needs. So that's how evil they are. They'll take these pedophile priests and use them to turn people away from the church, which of course it does. And the more it happens, the more it's exposed, the more people are turned away. Around the world, parishioners in general, except in like the really strong Bible Belt area in the United States at least, all of these, all the attendance is down, especially in the Catholic Church. That's fact. Anyway, there's a lot of things there should be. I mean, I don't want to get into religion because, like again, I spoke about faith the other day. I think religion is a big part of the whole hypocrisy, and this whole New World Order control grid is all, very, religion is a big part of that. So we can't be blind to that, and we can't, just, you have to understand that these people are like the wickedest motherfuckers, and they're just out there to confuse you and deceive you. And you put all your faith in them, and they promise you the world, and when it doesn't come true, they say, well, I never said that, and then of course they did. And then it's too late. You're just putting faith in these people that are these politicians and these idiots that are working for the collectivists. They're working for the corporations. It's just unbelievable. So anyway, so she's calling for. This senator is calling for to activate immediate change, and in this process to, of course, audit the DFC. And unfortunately, that's to this date, it hasn't happened. Require a warrant or a positive emergency circumstance before removing children from their parents. Imagine that. They don't even have to have a warrant. They just come in and take your kids. Mandate a search for family members to be given the opportunity to adopt their own relatives. Grant to parents their rights in writing. They don't do anything. They just take the kids. It's terrible. And then this is one more story I'll tell you, and then we'll move on a little bit. This is Jeremy's story, as told to Senator Nancy Schaefer by a foster parent of Jeremy by Sandra, who was a foster parent of Jeremy for 2.5 years. And this is Sandra's story, and she says, she's Sandra speaking about Jeremy. My husband and I received Jeremy when he was 2 weeks old, and we have been the only parents he's ever really known. He lived with us for 27 months. He is the grandfather, blank is the grandfather of Jeremy, and he is known for molesting his own children, for molesting Jeremy, and been court-ordered not to be around Jeremy. XXS is the mother of Jeremy, who has been diagnosed to be mentally ill and is also known to have molested Jeremy. X and Jeremy's uncle is a registered sex offender, and X is the biological father, who is a drug addict and alcoholic. Boy, really, they're really making this, really, my God. And continues to be in and out of jail. Having just described Jeremy's world, all of these adults are not to be any part of Jeremy's life. For years, DFCS has known that they are. DFCS has to test these people for drugs to determine the real father, although any of them might have been. That's terrible. In court, it appears from the case study that everyone involved knew this little boy had been molested by family members, even by his own mother. In court, the mother of Jeremy admitted to having had sex with the boy and her own brother that morning. The judge gave Jeremy and his grandmother the same day. The grandmother's over 300 pounds, unable to drive, unbelievable, and is unable to take care of Jeremy due to physical problems. She's also been in a mental hospital. So it's like, it's just a twisted thing. Really dangerous people, they won't take the kids away from. And really good parents, they do. It just goes on and on and on. There's also a lot of cases where these kids are, of course, abused in the foster system themselves. It turns out later. Sheriff Fincher in Gainesville, Florida, contacted the Department of Habersham County Department of Family Services several times to remove 6 children from being horribly abused, and finally had to get a court order to remove the children himself with the help of 2 police officers. The children, 4 boys and 2 girls, were not just being abused, they were being tortured by a monster father. The 6 children and a living girlfriend were terrified of the man, the abuser. The children never slept in a bed, always on the floor, and where they lived was unfit for human habitation. Wow. Wow. Oh, I meant Georgia. It's just sounded like the same. It's still Georgia. This is all documented stuff where DCF, they just like, they ignore the evil, and the good things, they take away the people. I mean, it's a typical example. Typical example. Moving on. Let's see. Had a couple of interesting things here. I know California promotes the caseworkers who lie to judges. It's unbelievable. They lie to judges. In Orange County, California, social workers who lied to a juvenile court commissioner in order to take away a woman's 2 daughters. Imagine that. Can you imagine that? And it cost the county $4.9 million in a court's judgment and was later promoted to a supervisor. This woman was promoted to a supervisor, county officials confirmed. She now trains other social workers in Orange County. This is from April 27th, 2011, written by Kimberly Eds, staff writer at YvonneMason.com. Unbelievable. Orange County social worker lies to a juvenile court commissioner, costing the state $4.9 million, and then she gets promoted. Unbelievable. And it took Seal Beach mother Dina Fogarty Hardwick 6.5 years to regain custody of her children, who were 6 and 9 when they were taken from her in 2000. Her oldest daughter is now 20 and filed her own lawsuit against the county and 3 of its social workers for depriving her of a relationship with her mother. Orange County Services social worker Marcy Vreeken and Helen Dwojak filed false reports and held back evidence which would have cleared Fogarty Hardwick in an Orange County jury who found in 2007 that they would be taking away the kids. It's unbelievable. A 3rd social worker was cleared of liability. The jury awarded $4.9 million in damages. Unbelievable. Well, that's what's going on. That's what's going on here. I'm certain, and I stand by my social workers, that they did not fabricate, they did not suppress any information, and they did not perjure themselves. That's what the guy, Michael Riley, director of Orange County Social Service Agency, said. Well, looks like it's not so honest there, Mike. Now, what about death? What about resulting in death? What about when this evil results in the child's death? What happens then? Well, unfortunately, DCS ignored someone named Kayla Allen. It's a very long list. Headlines have drawn attention to the cases of some of these people. Children who have been beaten, broken, drowned, burned, strangled, starved, or neglected. They're all dead. And the headlines have been drawing attention. Danielle Kelly, Erin Maxwell, Kayla Allen, and Christopher Thomas. But there are many more. The children on the list died in different settings. Some died in their own homes, some in foster care, while others were killed by their adoptive parents. Yet all of these dead abused children had one thing in common: Child Protective Services. Statistics. Bill Bowen, on his short documentary film, Innocence Destroyed, states that over 1,000 children die of neglect or are tortured and murdered each year in the care of an entity where children are up to 600% more likely to die a horrific death, CPS. According to Child Welfare Information Gateway, the National Child Abuse and Neglect Data System reported an estimated 1,760 child fatalities in 2007. All of these deaths are attributed to child abuse or neglect. The math of these statistics is alarming. If the numbers are to be believed, roughly 57% of all child abuse deaths have some type of child protective service involvement. And they do. This is absolutely true. It's to be believed. They are believed. This is the truth. 57%. So more than half of the people who die have had some sort of, these kids have had some sort of relationship to the Child Protective Service system. In a report released by Every Child Matters titled "We Can Do Better," there's a list of 51 children that died between 2001 and 2009. During research on the children listed in this report, the reporter found the following: 27 of them, 53%, had prior Child Protective Service involvement before their deaths. 19 had no evidence, or no evidence was found of prior CPS involvement. 4 had previous investigations or convictions for child abuse on children other than their victim. That's unbelievable. 1 of them had a report of abuse made to the police, and 1 was a known sex offender. Oh, how nice. 1 was a police officer who killed his girlfriend's child. I mean, it's unbelievable. The numbers are eye-opening. More children are dying in this country with CPS involvement than without it. Now, how's this allowed to continue? The pattern of these types of deaths have been the norm in the country. A child dies of abuse or neglect, and it's then later discovered that CPS was already involved with the family, that the child was a foster child, or had been adopted by the parent who killed them. CPS is rarely held accountable in these cases, even when negligence is proven. There is no punishment for the agencies that are legally obligated to perform the duties of child protection. The director and social workers in these cases hide behind confidentiality laws that were initially implemented to protect families and children, but that now seem to merely be a place to protect the CPS. They also hold behind immunity laws that make it nearly impossible for them to be held accountable for the children's deaths. Criminal prosecution for these workers is almost unheard of, even with proof of forged documents, perjury, failure to perform statutory duties, and in some cases a complete and total disregard for the well-being of the children entrusted to their care. These workers, their supervisors, and all involved walk away from these disease-free, walk away from these deaths free and clear, without any ramifications for their behavior at all, often right back into their offices and go right back to work, like nothing ever happened at all. It's hard to get a district attorney or police to investigate the people they work so closely with on a daily basis, who they might even consider friends. Wow. Well, here in Connecticut, Martha Dean ran for Attorney General. Unfortunately, she lost, and she really would be a great Attorney General. She is a tremendous advocate for the abolishment of this horrific system of the CPS, to get rid of this destroying of families and neglect and this systematic abuse that occurs over and over again in almost every state, I should say, and really around the world when you get into this whole system. It is a system designed to do one thing, but of course it does another thing. Okay? It breaks families apart, it keeps families apart. It's designed to do that. And then the corruption is endless. Endless. The needless deaths of these children have to stop, and the only way to do it is to change the laws that govern child protective services. In this country, when someone breaks the law, whether it's a police officer, a doctor, or an ordinary citizen, they're charged with a crime. Should it be different for CPS? When a doctor is negligent in performing his duties and his patient is injured or killed because of that negligence, he is held accountable. Should that be different for CPS? Of course. When a child dies, etc. Of course, of course, of course. Anyhow, there's a lot of really great information here. I hope that you can all look into this. You can check out this Examiner.com article that I was just referring to, America's Dead Children and Child Protective Services. It's a very, very important issue. This is something that people are not paying attention to. The mainstream media ignores it. They say nothing about it. And it's happening in every city, in every town, in every county, every state. Now, nationwide, corrupt Department of Children and Families, juvenile CPS and family court judges bilk parents of tons of money. Former Attorney General Richard Blumenthal in Connecticut allows DCF and CPS to kidnap our children for profits. He is now the senator in the state of Connecticut, Senator Blumenthal, but it's true. In Connecticut, it's a very, very bad system they have here, really. It's an out-of-control child protective service system. They just